Yeah, I mean, definitely AI. And so I guess there's two distinctions that need to be made here, which is cybersecurity AI, which is companies adopting AI into their product. And then there's cybersecurity for AI, right? Or security for AI, right? Which is like the companies building products to protect against the threats, vulnerabilities opened up by AI.
Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good night. Welcome back, everyone, to Cybersecurity Stand Up. I am your host, Bronwyn Hudson, and today I have a kind of like a famous person with me, Mariana Padilla. Wow, so excited to talk to you. So excited to hear about your recent adventures and successes. Bang. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself and what's been going on recently for you?
Awesome. Well, first of all, thank you so much for having me. By no means do I claim to be famous, but if you're going to call me famous, I guess I shall adopt that mantle.
Lean in.
Yeah. So I am the co-founder and CEO of the HACKERverse, recently rebranded from Kicker, which I loved, but HACKERverse is just more representative of everything we're doing. And what are we doing? I guess that's the question right now. So we have built a cybersecurity it's a esports platform and marketplace for cybersecurity. So really trying to fix the cybersecurity sales problem, which is archaic and just like not working for anyone. So on-demand product demos and then real-time product validation in our World Hacker Games.
Amazing. So tell us a little bit about how this whole project and company came to be. I mean, what were you in before you founded it? Let's talk about the journey here.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So not native to cybersecurity. I'm actually a marketer by trade. Met my co-founder Craig in July of 2022, which is crazy to me. I mean, here we are in 2024. It feels like I blinked and we've advanced in time. So like I said, background in marketing, I was giving a presentation on B2B Instagram marketing, and my whole approach has very much always been community building, which I know is something you are very passionate about. Miss recently promoted community manager. Community has really always been my focus, and I think it is a huge miss in the B2B industry, but that, we can come back to that topic. So we met, I understood kind of the vision for what he was building. Essentially, he said, hey, I want to build this on-demand marketplace so people can come in and demo software on their own time. And I said, hell yeah. And I said, hell yeah, because I had personally lived the pain of purchasing enterprise software. So not necessarily cybersecurity tooling, but even the process to evaluate like marketing tooling. It took me and my clients like 3 months. The sales team turned over in the middle of the process. Like we had dozens of phone calls. It's just like, no one has time for this. All I wanted to be able to do was touch, feel, use the software and see if this was right for us. That's all I wanted to do. I didn't want to talk to your sales team, and like, no shade on sales teams, but like, until I'm ready, I don't want to talk to you. And I think there's a lot of us in that same boat. So, when he said, hey, the process is even worse for cybersecurity tooling, sometimes takes 18 months to evaluate tools. I was like, wow, that is a problem that needs solving. So, initially came on as an advisor, marketing advisor, and then became CEO in November of 2022.
Incredible. What growth. And am I right in thinking that your recent trip overseas has something to do with this as well? Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah. So we just got back from Germany. So we were one of 17 teams from across the US and Europe accepted into the Google Growth Academy AI cybersecurity program. So like super honored to be chosen to be part of this, a highly competitive program, and everyone in there is doing incredible stuff. Really on the cutting edge of cyber and AI, and also quantum, which is kind of flying under the radar right now, but is definitely something that we need to be aware of as well.
Ooh, yeah, gonna be Googling that. Yeah, later I'm missing out on, for real. Can you tell us, sort of while we're on the subject, I'd love to hear a little bit more about the mechanics of how HACKERverse kind of works. Like, do you have to have a certain kind of email address to sign up? Are you up and running now? Can people find it and get involved?
Yeah, no, absolutely. So HACKERverse is up and running. HACKERverse.live is the marketplace itself. If you just want to learn about what we're up to, HACKERverse.co. You can see, and you'll know you're there because we have a very loud and obnoxious brand presence. That's been our MO since day one, is like loud, disruptive boat rockers. Yes, accessing demos on the marketplace. So yeah, the way that works is log in. We definitely want to make sure you are who you say you are. So that will be validated against LinkedIn. So, competitors, threat actors, our goal is to be able to keep them out of the demo environment. So that is up and running. Go check it out. We have several more companies and demos coming live in the next couple weeks in a variety of categories. Really, our focus for 2024 is around three things: EDR security, AI security, and then also file security for various reasons. But if you're interested in those tools, keep this on your radar. We want to make sure you're able to evaluate products side by side. And then the other thing that we're doing on a monthly basis, the World Hacker Games, vendor products in our CTF arena. We showcase, how they work in real time, essentially. I think that this has probably come up your podcast or you've seen on LinkedIn. There's a lot of consumer, what am I trying to say? They're just tired. Consumer fatigue around like vendor overpromising and under-delivering. And so really what we want to be able to do is spotlight companies who have incredible products and get them out into the universe. I think there's a lot of incredible startups, particularly, who have great tooling and just like have not been able to break through because they're not Palo Alto, they're not CrowdStrike, they're not Armis, they're not, the big boys, big gals in this space, right? So it's been really great. People really enjoy watching that. Practitioners are very, very involved in watching those games. We just had one actually yesterday, featuring PlexTrack, and then the next one coming up is featuring Syntion, which is automated system hardening. So happy to give you the link so everyone can come check it out.
Yeah, please do. We'll put that in the show notes and things too. We can kind of distribute that. I want to go back to something you said a little bit because it ties in two ways to things we were just talking about. One, the HACKERverse like branding, this idea that it's like, it's loud, it's in your face, it's breaking through. And that's something that obviously a lot of other companies are constantly struggling with. It's a crowded, competitive market. And the idea of breaking through in cyber is someone else's podcast, Cybersecurity Marketing Society. Shout out to them. What are your thoughts on that? Like, is part of your sort of brand presence really, really pushing that? Like, how did the branding come about?
Yeah. And so I actually have kind of led Branding since day one. When I first joined, we had a terrible name. It was called Red Locust. And I said, hell no. Locusts have such a bad connotation, right? And I was like, no. So we ultimately landed on Kicker because there was, the URL was available. And then we had already actually trademarked the HACKERverse, and that was our community name. And so it was just causing a lot of confusion between the HACKERverse community and then your Kicker. What is that? Anyway, so here we are, unified brand presence, if anybody's curious how we got there. But yeah, so, my whole thing is like, why would you want to run with the herd? Right? If it's such a crowded marketplace and you're saying the exact same thing everyone else is saying, which is validated by, going to Black Hat and just taking pictures of the slogans on the vendor banners, right? And they're so similar. Why would you want to do that? I mean, I feel like in my book, and I've said this before, like the biggest problem cybersecurity has is honestly the communication piece of things, right? You have like brilliant technical minds who are creating tools the world needs, and they just cannot communicate to outsiders about what it is they're selling. And so I think that's kind of floated down to marketing teams who are, taking cues from leadership. And so everybody's doing the same things. I even posted on LinkedIn a couple months ago, the collateral that I picked up from going to like a conference here in Chicago, like you black out the names on the single page handouts. You can't tell whose is whose. Like, why would you want to do that? Like, that's the whole purpose of marketing is to help your brand stand out. So why on earth would you want to be doing what everyone else is doing? That's been a huge part of it, is like, let's be disruptive. And then also like, there's no reason why we can't have fun, right? Like why does this have to be so darn boring? Like, Why? Like, so one of the things we want to do, like moving forward as we, advance the business is like have like an interactive website. Let's hide Easter eggs on the website. Let's give people a reason to like come, like, let's do scavenger hunts when we go to RSA. Like, why do we keep doing the same things? Anyway, there you go. There's my diatribe.
Love that. Can't wait to be part of the scavenger hunt. Like, sign me up. I'm very into fun. I love fun.
Right? Who doesn't love fun? Why does this have to be boring as Jesus?
I totally hear you. Let me dig in though, because I do feel like a lot of marketers, but also just a lot of folks in the industry are realizing the same thing. There's a I would say a general sense of frustration and maybe some tiredness around the like very similar slogans, like one-liners across the board. But what is the fix? Because I feel like, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on, from a high level as well as detailed stuff too. Like if we are trying to describe in very tiny amounts of text, the whole like the entirety of what a company does. How do we do that without ending up sounding similar if there's so much overlap in these tools? What do you think?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if I would go straight to the copy, but just like everything we're doing at HACKERverse, show us.
Yeah. Nice.
Just show us how it works, right? Like, and I think what we're going to see is, as more and more of these companies choose to come on the marketplace, choose to participate in World Hacker Games, we're going to see that some of them are not doing what they say they are, right? Which is actually one of the reasons why this company was formed. So Craig has 22 years in cybersecurity, marketing, and sales. Spent a long time in pre-sales, and started building these automated demos essentially for the companies he was working for to scale his own processes. And so one of them that he built, there was a lot of talk around how effective they were against Log4j. We protect against Log4j. And then he put the tool in a demo sandbox against Log4j and it totally missed it. And so it was like, wow, how many more of these tools are actually doing what they say they're doing, right? Which is like the fatigue against like I said, overpromising and underdelivering. So, I mean, I don't know if I have the one succinct answer for that other than just show us how your products works. Like, the companies that are still requiring people to sign an NDA to even see a demo, like blows my mind.
Totally.
Like, and I understand, like you have, patented products that you don't want competitors, whatever. I understand that piece of things, but like, I just feel like that's a losing model.
Right. Yeah, totally. And so I'm curious to hear too, sort of from the perspective of a marketer who's surely talked the talk in all of these ways too. Like, a lot of folks sort of in I'll say but I know you're a CEO, so I'm not really in your neck of the woods anymore. That you want email addresses, you want to build your list, you want a solid, like database of potential customers. Like, is there any, I don't know, way we can continue to work with people in that way? Because I get it, I get that marketers need the numbers as well as being able to show the product.
Yeah. I mean, and so for us, that's where community comes in, like, and the HACKERverse community that we're building. And so vision for that, currently we're on Discord, we're fundraising right now. And the vision is to have our own proprietary community embedded within the marketplace. We kind of think about that as like Twitch for hackers is what we want that to be. So, video yourself, like using the demos to talk about how you use it. Like, let's have AMAs with vendors. Like, let's connect products, product leaders with shoppers in an entirely new way. So for us, it's always been about community, and that is how we have brought people into the fold. Obviously, the World Hacker Games are well loved by the community and community-driven events. So that is how we're approaching that. Because, yeah, you're right. Like, people, like I've spent my time in marketing. I gave up on white papers. Like, I gave up trying to and customers, like clients who were like, let's do a white paper. I'm like, nope, absolutely not. Like, it's like a waste of time. Like, no one's going to sign up for it. Right. Like, I can't even remember the last time I signed up for it. So, I mean, for us, that has been the key to everything. And, I think recognizing cybersecurity is a very unique industry. What I say is it's so much more than an industry for a lot of people in it. It's a lifestyle. Like DEF CON is a cultural experience. Right? So we know that. So if we can build a community around that idea and bring people along with what we're doing, like I think we're perfectly suited to do that. I don't know if this would work in any other industry. Like I don't know marketers who are like, I live and breathe marketing and I love going to Marketing Con and I like am on like Discord 24 hours a day to talk marketing. I don't know if like CRM software, sales software, I don't think that exists. So I think, we're really lucky to be in a space that is a thing, and that's how we're able to grow our business. So I know that, community doesn't necessarily work for all companies, like doesn't make sense. But I think in however you can do it, tapping into that idea and just bringing people along that way is the future, right? People do not want to give you their information anymore. So you're going to have to figure out a different way of doing it.
I love that. I mean, you don't need to preach to me because I'm already in the camp totally. But I do think that's a crucial, like what you're identifying too in creating a hackerverse is that hacker culture is alive and well.
Oh yeah.
It's not like you're necessarily even like you're tapping into an existing culture.
Right.
You're providing a structure around it. You're not like trying to create necessarily something like from the ground up even. Right. You're like, look, this already exists. Let's make it better and easier.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Love that. Love that. Smart too. Yeah. It's almost like you're a CEO or something like that.
Sometimes I know what I'm doing.
Yeah. Well, good. So at the moment, what is a day in your life like? What's it like being a CEO?
Yeah, I mean, definitely the first thing I'll acknowledge is 100% screw ups. We have those, learning along the way. I think for me, it was very much when I first came on, I had to embed myself in and understanding what the cybersecurity sales process looked like. I knew it was broken, but I didn't know all the players involved, right? So you have pre-sales and you have like the POC or POV, then you have the POC and like all the stages of that and all the players involved. So I think that was a huge part of it is like just like really understanding that process and getting embedded in that. Also, you just, kind of like understanding how the tools work is still a challenge. Like the amount of jargon gets thrown around. I'm like, what? Explain it like you would talk to a 6-year-old, right? Which honestly, I think has been part of my success because like I'm not from this industry. So I have to break it down and simplify it and be able to talk to people like a 3rd grader, right? So outside of that, obviously sales, founder-led, we're still in like the founder-led sales piece of things. So very involved in that, scaling our sales process. Fundraising, team leadership. We're very lucky to, even though we're pre-funded, have had a team of about 10 folks who have been working with us for about a year and a half without a salary. Which tells you they just understand the problem so much and are so dedicated to solving it that they are willing to stick around. And I call them the merry band of pirates. They're willing to stay on the pirate ship with me. And beyond that, the big one, which anyone listening, if you want to reach out and take me up on this offer, my virtual coffees are kind of like my staple. I guess I'm known for that at this point.
Yeah, you
are. So had over 400 of them last year, which was like wild. I actually had tracked it in a spreadsheet. So we'll see if we can hit 500 this year.
I'm sure you'll be able to. That's impressive though. Yeah. Tell us about that. Like, is it something that you just started because you were wanting to reach out to people on LinkedIn? How did that happen? Yeah.
I figured out pretty quickly that the traditional tactics just don't work in this industry. Like, for good reasons, people are like paranoid and will not answer your email. They don't want your spammy LinkedIn message. So, it became really clear that I needed to be able to build relationships with people and build them fast. And so, I typically what I'll do is just follow along with someone on LinkedIn, connect with them, engage with their content. If it seems like, they might be someone interesting to connect with, I'll just reach out and say, hey, let's do virtual coffee. I'm not trying to sell you anything. And it's been wonderful to just make some incredible, connections in this industry, allies, people cheering us on. Some of them have joined our advisory board from those conversations. And, and I promise no pitching, but every time I tell someone what we're doing, they're like, yes, where was this when I needed to buy Steam software? Where the hell was this? You could have saved me like 2 years. Or like on the vendor side, it's like, yeah, no one's demoing our software. Like we can't get people in the door to like get on a demo call. So yeah, it just like, it opens the door in an organic, authentic way, I think. And it's been a great way to just meet really cool people and build relationships that way.
I love it. It reminds me too of walking around a place like Black Hat or something where you end up having maybe not 400 conversations. It would be hard to fit in, but you end up just having little conversations with people. That's what humans do. So they interact. And it's like, You've really managed to bring that to where it is also possible, a digital place. Yeah. I love that. Is it always coffee that you drink?
No, I have my like very cybersecurity water bottle here. Nice. Joel Benji right here, nerd that talks good. Yeah, we have some good stickers on here. So I actually don't drink coffee outside of the morning. I have like 1 cup in the morning. So I'm not like highly caffeinated, like virtual waters, I guess.
Yeah, totally. Not as catchy somehow. Yeah.
Not as catchy. I love it.
So good. So I also want to be able to pick your brain while you're here with me. So obviously, you're coming from this angle of knowing what the vendors are doing, as well as knowing what the people who need the vendors should be doing and how they can access that. But when it comes to like security concerns, what's top of mind for you? Like obviously you're the HACKERverse, kind of focusing on those 3 things you mentioned previously. Mm-hmm. And one of those like a top priority, anything else that's bubbling away in your mind when it comes to security?
Yeah, I mean, definitely AI. And so I guess there's 2 distinctions that need to be made here, which is cybersecurity AI, which is companies adopting AI into their product. And then there's cybersecurity for AI, right? Or security for AI, right? Which is like the companies building products to protect against the threats, vulnerabilities opened up by AI. And so I would say the second one there is like a huge focus for me, right? So everyone's like rushing willy-nilly to adopt these tools into their tech stack. They're laying off staff members. They're adopting these tools. Like they're not thinking about it. And maybe the risk isn't there now, but like it definitely is going to be there, right? So I would say that for me is very, very top of mind in terms of everything right now.
Yeah. I always ask, not always. In recent months, I've started asking everyone, like, what are you thinking about AI right now? Because I'm trying to get a read on not only sort of what public opinion really is, but it's been evolving very quickly. And I'm wondering now, too, I think a lot of people are sensing that regulation may be in our future, like maybe federally, maybe, I don't know what's happening there. Do you think regulation of AI is coming down the pipeline? Do you think that'll have an impact on things? Any thoughts there?
No, definitely. I definitely think so. The federal government moves slowly, doesn't necessarily understand its technology. Like it will forever be burned in my brain in terms of like that one senator asking Zuckerberg like how they made money. And I was like, oh my God. I don't know if you remember that. I think it was Chuck Grassley, but I was just like, Jesus, like you're too old. You like go away. Anyway, we won't go down that path, but I definitely think so. Regulations for sure. And then, I think the other thing we need to be thinking about, which, our good friend George from Bare Knuckles Brass Tacks is very concerned about too, is just like the equity involvement of AI too.
So interesting. And I feel like one of the main things too that we don't need to like backpedal on, because I don't know if backpedaling is really a thing when it comes to this kind of tech, but I have been so flabbergasted on a weekly basis how often it enters regular conversations that I'm having. Yet I really don't think that I could explain to you how a lot of that tech works, which is like, I mean, I know that like you don't have to understand how an engine works for people to drive a car. Like I get those kind of analogies, but it does seem crucial. Maybe, I've got some books that I need to read about it.
Well, if it makes you feel any better, I asked OpenAI about what the differences in all the AIs were when all of this first started happening. Yeah, because I mean, you have to be versed in this, and not being versed in it is going to be, what am I trying to say here? I don't know. Just like you have to stay on top of trends, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
I agree. No, I think that's a perfect way of saying it. I think being versed in it is a great place to start. Like I don't have to, be able to build a large language model or something. It's more like I need to be versed in what's happening. Yeah, I like that way of putting it. Yeah. So obviously, I have a question that I usually ask people: how do you build community in this industry? I feel like you're miles ahead of that. So I'm going to kind of skip ahead a little bit and ask you about. So you as a marketer have this like marketing background. You're not native to cybersecurity, you said, but I'm curious to hear about what's changed about your personal security habits since you've been in the industry.
No, definitely. I mean, so I was always using two-factor. I've been using two-factor for like before it was like a publicly thing when everyone was like, I got two-factor. So, I mean, obviously VPN, very important. I didn't take my phone to DEF CON, because I didn't want to end up on the wall of sheeple. So, obviously network security is something that we've implemented. I mean, obviously as a CEO, people are targeting CEOs. So it became something that I needed to start thinking about early, even as, an early stage pre-funded. I mean, you just never know. You don't want someone gaining access to your stuff and just sitting around there for forever and ever, which is definitely a thing. I mean, it's just something that I am definitely more aware of and try to educate people around me on, I think is the biggest thing. So like, boomer parents, step one. And so I'm like, if you ever have a question, just call me, which honestly, like now that door is opened, it's like, is this I'm like, I don't know.
No idea.
So I'm like, no, that's actually your bank. That one's actually your bank.
Yeah. Definitely answer that call. It's your doctor.
Yeah. So I think, it's just awareness. I think though, for the average person, and anyone who's not in cybersecurity is listening to this, just start with like a password protector, start with a password protector, turn on multi-factor. That's a good start. Even those two things, which I was already doing. So, but yeah, I mean, as we build the company, that's something that we have, started thinking about. Unfortunately, it is kind of expensive to kind of put those building blocks in place. But we have a roadmap in terms of like, how do we, get our SOC, and then like all of those kinds of things. So, I mean, the first step is awareness is what I would say.
Yeah, love that. I completely agree. And it's great to hear that you're ahead of the curve on that kind of stuff too, because I think that a lot of people are they don't understand why those things would be effective. Why can't I reuse my password that I've used since kindergarten that doesn't have any... It's like 7 characters long. Why can't I use it anymore? Well, I will say, and this is you're probably going to laugh. Shout out to my ex-husband, which who gives a shout out to their ex-husband? But he was very, very involved in building websites very early. And so 10 years ago, he was like, you need a VPN and you need a password manager. And I was like, okay. So I just believed him. And so here we are. Shout out to you. Okay, shout out. I hope he listens because that's kind of nice.
I'll give him the link.
Yeah. I love it. It's so good. I want to make sure I'm asking you all the good tech questions too, because I feel like you're in it. Ooh, okay. Okay. So in the past 5 years-ish, very loosely speaking, there have been so many startups. There have been so many new tools. There have been giant advances in tech. How has your cybersecurity toolkit changed and why? What have you added?
Yeah, I mean, so, like I said, password managers, because I was just an individual kind of thinking about that. But, I think one of the tools that I really like and appreciate is, and, prior to doing this was a small business owner, really like the Judy tool, which formerly known as Adea, which, is AI driven and essentially does all the things you needed to do for $14.99 a month. So I think one of the things that we're going to continue to see, and there's a huge untapped market there of companies are just not focused on small business owners, right? Because the money is in the big enterprise contracts. So like one big enterprise contract can, be like 50 to 60 sales to small, medium-sized businesses. So I'm not directly answering your question here, but I think, just kind of tangentially that, there's a huge untapped market there of companies who are not going after that, but Judy is one of them. And I've actually recommended them to several of former marketing clients that this is, I particularly like that one. Coro is another one focused on small, medium-sized businesses. So I guess in my experience, those are kind of the ones that are top of mind for me. As we continue to grow HACKERverse, obviously we will need to build those out, and starting from the ground up in terms of like everything we build in terms of software development, the whole shift left thing. And I have some tools on my radar that I'm really interested in. Some new customers coming on who are, operating in that space. So I would say that would be the other thing that is that I'm really thinking about too.
Love that. And love the tangential direction there because, gosh, I completely agree. But I'd love to hear your advice on that. Because from my perspective, even, like the dog food store down the road from me, they have online sales, they have e-commerce in all directions, whatever else. And I know they're unprotected. I mean, I won't say their name because I don't want to get them doxxed or something, but I just know that they don't have any security in place at all, but they're never going to get contacted by a vendor. It's just not going to happen. What do you think we should do about that?
For all these big companies that have these tooling, the thing is, even if you are a small, medium-sized business who's in the know and is concerned about this, a lot of these tools are unavailable to you. You contact the vendor and they'll be like, no, absolutely not. You need 15,000 seats in order for us to work with you kind of situation. Right. So, I think it's easy from, I would assume that it should be easy, and maybe my assumption is totally wrong here, to make, a different version of the tool that's more accessible to these individuals, that's cheaper, right? Just going after those big enterprise companies, I understand has been the way you've earned your lunch money for the last 10, 15, 20 years. But you're missing out on a huge opportunity. And it's interesting to me, walking around and seeing the amount of cybersecurity advertising, bus stop images, and even at the Chicago O'Hare, I think it's Armor that has or Armis that has they've sponsored the bins and the security bins at the Chicago O'Hare Airport, right? So people are becoming more and more conscious of cybersecurity. It's entered the mainstream, right? So people are finally thinking about this. Even small businesses, individuals have had, relatives who've lost money in scams and all of these kinds of things. So it's becoming more and more, people are becoming more and more aware. So I think the time is nigh to start focusing on, everybody else and not just, gigantic corporations.
I'm wondering too if there are vendors out there or CISOs out there or something who are that maybe we have an ethical responsibility to do that as well, right? Because there are so many wonderful people in this industry who truly are here because they want to help protect people. And I don't want to forget that. So if we can protect more people, what is the path to doing that?
And, if just me as a marketer, I thought about this a lot, as I was building my agency, and I would have clients text me passwords. I'd be like, please stop. Don't do that again. Please don't ever do that again. Like, sign up for a password manager, add me on to the password manager, share the password with me. And they just like didn't get it. Right. And so like me as a marketer, I had access to dozens and dozens and dozens of accounts, like social media accounts, like Gmail accounts, YouTube accounts. So if I had gotten hacked, it wouldn't just be me that got hacked. It would be literally dozens of companies that got hacked. And so other marketing agencies, I'm sure it's the same way. So not focusing on some of these small businesses, like it's not just me that goes down. It's like 10, 15, 20 other small businesses that could be potentially impacted in this. And, that's me as a marketer. Like if you were in the B2B space, it's similar, right? So, it definitely is a burden of responsibility, and we are not addressing it. There are not enough companies out there that are addressing it. Just because the way that the model works, right? It's the big contracts, that's how they've earned their money. But you're right, having a responsibility to protect everyone.
Yeah, here. And especially too, when it comes to like that chain reaction of getting hacked, like especially for small businesses, like their infrastructure and their supply chain essentially is just as insecure as any other supply chain, often way less secure because it's just other small businesses. You're totally right. Oof. I need to write about that or do some, got to find out a solution to that one. Oh man, because that kind of like feels really close to home. A lot of the times I ask folks like, what's their B2B advice? What's their B2C advice? But it feels like I've been missing that middle step of what can we be doing for small and mid-sized businesses? That's like a crucial, because those just people. It's same people.
And that small business may become the corporation of, they may become that. A lot of them won't, but like they need the opportunity to get there. And if they're hacked and their whole business goes up in flames, they never will. So all the things.
Totally. Yeah. Hearing you loud and clear over here. Yeah. Okay. Well, you have been insanely generous with your time, but what I want to ask you as the most important question here is if you could have any superpower to revolutionize the cybersecurity industry, what would it be and why?
A superpower to revolutionize the cybersecurity industry. I love this because all of your branding is superhero branding. Is this where this question came from?
Yes and no. It's also like, what is the most important thing, or like, what would you change if you just could right away?
I mean, I guess it's this is the way we've always done it. Like this, but this is the way we've always done marketing. But this is the way we've always done things. But this is the way we've always sold. We've always sold through VARs. We've always done this. We've always sold to big corporations. So I would get rid of that. If people would just start thinking about things differently, like I said, being non-native to cybersecurity, honestly, I think has been a huge asset because I have a beginner's mindset and I can come in and be like, what the hell is happening here? And why are you doing this way? Right? There's so many different options. So that would be the thing that I would change, just like magic wand. Think outside the box, my friend.
Love that. I see you as a fairy godmother with a cool wand. I like that.
I am a big Potterhead. I took my daughter to Harry Potter World a couple years ago. We got the wands that have the interactive. Big fan. There we go.
Amazing.
Maybe I'll bring it back. We'll have a scavenger hunt that involves wands at RSA or Black Hat one day. Promise.
If that's a real promise, I'm insanely here for it. But I was about to be like, don't you promise me if you can't come through.
I mean, that sounds awesome to me. If anyone listening wants in on this, drop us a magic wand comment in the...
I'm dying. I can't even tell you how excited that would make me. Oh my gosh. Also, come on, it's got to be a generational thing too. There's got to be tons of us out there, right? Who would be like secretly so jazzed.
100%. Yes. The elder millennials. I don't know how old you are, but I'm in the elder. They call us like the Oregon Trail generation. Dying of dysentery.
It shouldn't hurt to be called out like that, but it really does.
100%.
Not the dysentery. Oh my gosh. Okay, well, Mariana, if people want to find you and they want to find the HACKERverse, where can they do that?
Yeah, absolutely. So hackerverse.co, good information about what we're up to. Very active on LinkedIn. I'm there along with pup pictures. So if you like dogs, follow along. And my handle is easy to remember, LinkedIn, whatever, / here to shake shit up. So there you go. Easy to remember.
Love that. Amazing. Unforgettable. Well, thank you so much for joining us on Cybersecurity Stand Up. And we can't wait to see where you take HACKERverse in the next couple of years. It's going to be amazing. Your growth it's already been incredible, and it's just going to keep skyrocketing up.
Thank you so much. Really, really thrilled to be here today. Super fun conversation.